Hello there. Where are you?
Behind the other window.
Oh, there you are. Behind the nesting extension. Hiding.
Oh, that's actually interesting. I'll put that on the list.
Okay. Howdy doodly. Hit it.
It's my new favorite.
Casually opens his tinny.
Tinny? Is that what you call it? It's a tinny.
A fresh one. Oh,
You know,
tinny.
the value price store brand of seltzer water. Don't get that LaCroix.
Good morning.
Is this sparkling water a big thing down there?
Fun water.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like been a long few years now. It's been quite the rage. I don't like real water anymore. Real water. How are you?
Yeah. Late. Tired. Slept in. My apologies, good sir. But otherwise, I'm good.
It's all right.
How are you?
Okay. Feels like everything's moving in slow motion. Just in general. Products, jobs, fixing stuff here. Like everything. Everything's in that like kind of delay stage where like you just kind of want to move forward and you're waiting on a bunch of people and just what it is. I'm impatient.
Yeah, I'm finding the weeks are vaporizing very quickly. I can't believe it's Thursday again. It's like, no, haven't got enough done. Can't be Thursday.
Right. I think the biggest news of the week here is, are you up on the Aubrey versus Duckworth?
I am not. I even Googled it and I still can't work out what you're talking about.
Good. It worked.
Yeah, tell me. Fill me in on popular culture.
You probably heard about it. There's been a big beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar here. At first, I was just like, this is annoying. They're both rappers. If I could do an NPR voice, I would. These are rappers of the hip-hop genre.
That was Thong Song by the artist Cisco in the key of B minor. A life-altering ballad about women wearing a garment of clothing, generally positioned under one's pants with a string separating the buttocks cheeks.
There's this woman that does this amazing NPR voice TikTok thing where she just imitates our national radio station. It's very like proper, and she talks about like the thong song, and it's usually hilarious. Anyway, what I wanted to discuss here, how amazingly fast the content was being created, both by the artists as well as people spinning stuff about it and digesting it, and remixes of songs, and like people waiving their copyright rights to content so that the beef could continue in a different way, like the argument. I don't know, just a lot of interesting stuff. Not that we're going to add a whole lot to that discussion.
No, I know nothing. I've heard nothing of this. I'm in a little hole. I did drop my phone in the toilet, so I was kind of offline for 4 days. So maybe it all unrolled during that time.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some stuff and I was like, I don't know. I don't care about this stupid drama. And then once I started to, I do listen to both of their music. And now I very much have a side, especially considering that the allegations against Drake, if true, are pretty horrendous, that he's into...
Children like a bitch, ain't you? And it's probably A minor.
Gotcha.
He's into younger people. I can't apologize for that. So I don't know. I found it interesting, and there's been enormous amounts of content created around it and people like analyzing it, and it's kind of jumped, I'd say, racial divides and gender divides, and like everything is kind of brought together by this situation, and it's just kind of shocking, honestly, that this is what shook through all of the silos. There was like all these moms, like 40-some-year-old moms on TikTok, like analyzing it and talking about it, and that the songs were stuck in their head. And
cool. I will check it out. I'll get up to speed, do my homework. I had no idea.
I'd say the one last thing I'll say on it, probably the most interesting thing of all of it is kind of a bystander of all of this was a record producer, music producer named Metro Boomin. And he apparently took a stray, I guess, from Drake. He said like, oh, why don't you just keep making beats? Because I guess, I don't know how he got involved. He decided to make a beat, a remix of a song that somebody else had made, and said, if I want everybody to use this song and make songs, because it's just a background beat, basically, and I will give you a new beat or a produced song like on the house if you're the winner. And so there's just been unlimited amounts of people rapping and making music on this. I've seen like people with violins, saxophones, and like it's really catchy. It's like completely stuck in my head. So this is
it all sounds very productive and profitable to me. Like
very Kendrick Lamar broke records.
Exactly. What a grand situation to sell some more records.
Right. And that was my first thought too, but it got so deep that I was like, I don't know. I don't know if Drake especially could have, I don't think he saw what was coming, but this guy. It's very, that will be stuck in your head now. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. That was the beginning of the show on Aubrey versus Duckworth.
I assumed they were Disney characters when I saw that written there. It's like, I don't remember that show.
Aubrey is Drake's real first name, and Duckworth is Lamar Kendrick's real last name.
Good names. Good names.
Yeah. Aubrey, Drake, something. Graham. Anyway.
Anywho, why did
it's the content people come here for?
Yeah, pop culture this week in rap beef.
This week in rap beef.
Meanwhile, at Autodesk, why did nesting extensions catch your eye? Because I've been nesting up a storm.
My version of that was I never use I don't know what to call it, the advanced nesting extension.
Yes.
You know, like in manufacturing, I never use that. And
why?
I find it to be terrible, and I'm not. It's just not worth my time most of the time. Like we don't often have pretty complicated nesting, and it's almost always for jobs, not for internal stuff. We often just use the arrange, and I have like the advanced arrange, and it feels like a Fusion product. I've said this before, and I kind of gave feedback to Autodesk, and I plan to kind of give them more thoughts because there's another person that was kind of chiming in the discussion. It's just real. I don't know how else to say. It's just really bad. It's terrible to use.
It's clunky. I think.
Do you use that?
I use it occasionally. Johnny uses it occasionally. It is on one of our things to drop this year to save costs when the subscription comes around, because it's a lot. It's like I don't know what it's up to, a couple of $1,000s a year.
Yeah.
Australian.
$1,600 USD here.
But sometimes it's incredibly useful. So like I'm doing a bit of a love job at the moment, a sponsorship job for a Melbourne Design Week exhibition, and there's 10 designers, and they've all sent me these wacky, very like CNC plywood designs.
Right.
And I've got about 10 sheets of material that I just need to get on the machines quickly. And so I've chucked all these files in there, fed it to the nesting extension, and zippity-doo. I've saved a couple of sheets of material just by using it. Look, I probably could have done it with the arrange or even map boards. Like Johnny often still uses the map boards extension.
I need to look at that again.
And he like, whenever I bring this up and chat to him about it, he's like, yeah, it's fine for like most things, unless it's a really big complex job. I just chuck it through map boards and it spits it out in a couple of seconds versus going through nesting and going, what to make component sources, what is the grain direction, like there's so much sort of faffing around in the setup. of a nest. It can be quite slow.
I think what I'm most frustrated about in that, and it's always been there. It's just I just ignored it. I had this person asked me if we had videos on the advanced manufacturing nesting, and I was like, honestly, no. I cannot recommend it to people, so I'm not going to make videos to try to like teach people about it. And we use the arranged tool, which is honestly pretty good. This project that I had to open it up for, I was like, well, this is really, I had like 10 different cabinet assemblies. So it's like a pretty typical cabinet job, right? Like it's got 10 different units. They each need different amounts of sets of parts. The grain does not come in oriented properly on most of them. So I have to open up each file, set up the grain, then bring them into as a source. And then that doesn't seem to always stick right. So then I got to go through that spreadsheet of crap. And then at the end, I don't even really know if it's correct because it's really hard to track everything through it.
It's hard to track stuff through it. I've got that exact problem right now. I'm looking at all these parts. I'm like, I think that's everything. But then I just noticed one of them is missing. I'm like, oh, so that's quite significant part that was easy to spot is missing. What else is not in there? Right. And it hasn't told me it's missing.
Arrange has that problem too. And I've given feedback where you can have it fail if it won't nest everything, but I don't do that version for some reason. I probably should. But like it'll just nest a bunch of stuff and you could totally get done making your parts and then you get there and you'd have, you go back and look and it'd be like, oh, there's 3 parts that didn't fit. And you're like, oh, good to know. But I think at the end, it's just like, it feels very, very secondary, very not a product. It should be easier in comparison to making a setup for a mill part. It could take me like 2 minutes, And I know it's not the same thing, but like if we have native Fusion files and we want to nest them, it shouldn't take me half an hour to set up a nest.
Yeah.
And then feel like I don't understand it at the end.
Yeah. I agree.
So, I don't know. I was hoping you had some...
Yeah,
hoping anybody had some secrets. Map boards.
Back to the plugins, which brings me to another Fusion point. I discovered, because we've used nifty dog bone on and off over the years to do automatic dog boning.
Yep. Right.
And panda ears and things like that. And then I noticed last night prepping these files that there's now a new feature which is part of the nifty dog bone thing, which is nifty corners. And it does the exact thing that I always wanted to do Fusion scripting for, which is just automatically radius any sharp edges.
Oh, right.
Like put a 1 or 2 mil fillet across the whole model, which is fantastic because I like rounding all my corners before they hit the machine. And now just
interesting. I had a glitch with that software years ago now.
The nifty stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I stopped using it because it was causing so many errors. And I just was like, well, I kind of got this place where I would just model them in myself. But obviously there's
better way to do it.
With all of these things, the same with nesting, is there's so many needs in a set of files that you miss them or, they're secondary to it or you're not the primary modeler of that. So that is nice.
Like on a production model, I'm a big fan of modeling your dog bones or panda ears correctly. But on a job like this where it's just like all these parts from other people, I just need to get it done. It's like quickly applying a generic panda ear to them all is a huge time saver.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It has me, I think back to working in architecture school before we had, there was like Rhino Nest that was kind of built into Rhino. It seemed to work off and on, but that was such a better workflow. And I actually used that for a few years into the first couple of years before we had anything in Fusion. So I would first bring all my files into Rhino. Honestly, it's tempting. It's tempting to go back to...
It really is.
It was such a smooth workflow. And then after I would get them all nested, I would dump that file into Fusion to do CAM.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know. If anybody has any, just feels silly we're at this point. Any solutions to this?
Help.
They're interested to hear feedback, so I'm going to be giving more thoughts to the nesting team. Hopefully that maybe something happens, but I still have to use it right now.
No.
I have a couple new things I noticed in Flodesk. I noticed you sent out your emails. If you're not on Jem's email list, they're goddamn beautiful. And
really?
I think some of that's your eye, but also I think Flodesk makes it pretty easy. That mail thing we use.
Sure does.
But they're always like such a nice magazine experience, and mine are like, here's an idea. And I was like thinking about it, I was like, oh, maybe I should try a little harder on making this flow a little bit better.
I just use the templates, but also thank you, Jay, for building templates for me, because there's a bunch of stuff just sitting there in Flodesk, all standardized fonts and blocks. So I've got like a master template that kind of has all the elements in it that we would ever use.
Interesting.
And then I just duplicate that template, build what I want to build, and delete out all the blocks that are not relevant to that particular email.
Yeah.
And that was something that Jay built, and it's good. It looks good.
So
I get sloppy otherwise.
Oh, yeah. In that same thought, I guess, I was thinking that there was a new feature, a couple new features that it seemed like they just came out where you could save blocks now.
Okay.
Has that been there a long time? I just didn't notice it.
No, I guess, don't know. I haven't found that feature. To be honest, that's the first time I've thought about Flodesk last week in ages. Right. And I was like, that. I should probably send some people an email about the configurator. And, I got a tiny amount of click through. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good to keep those people alive and kicking, but it's such a small number in terms of the scheme of things. But yeah, it is very pretty.
The other thing that happened, this I'm pretty sure is new, but you can now save font styles or like styling.
That's good.
Like I can save the button styling, which some of that stuff was kind of silly that you couldn't do that in the first place. But I guess for the price, it's still an amazing deal. So I just was like dealing with that. But I usually just duplicate my old ones that I like. So the template's kind of a nice idea, though.
Yeah, it makes it pretty quick to spin something up. But yeah, I'm pretty sus. Like, again, this Flodesk, interestingly, is another one of the subscriptions that is on my to delete list. Because whilst it's nice, when I culled our subscription spend as part of the downshift, I was like, I could be using something else. I could be using native Shopify for this and not spending this money. But I do really like Flodesk.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try and convince you to keep spending money, but there's nothing that compares to this in price that I've seen. But maybe I know that Shopify has some options, but you can also hit, I don't know what their limits are, but then you just have to start paying for that at some point once you hit certain limits. But it's probably more than you need. So if that's the case, then
we've got quite a small subscriber base. Like we've got just under 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And
you can get away with a lot under a couple thousand.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, like MailChimp, Klaviyo, Constant Contact. I made a spreadsheet at one point. It was like looking at well over $1,000 a year, well over thousands of dollars a year for all of those. We only have a couple thousand on our email list, and like I think Flodesk was $200 for the first year, and I think it's $400 for the second ongoing. Something like that. $418. So I mean, it's money.
It's up to 680 Australian.
Oh, right.
Due in September. So I'll have it for most of the year.
Yeah,
and,
interesting.
If I make use of it and find that it's fanging along again, then I might keep it. But for now,
it'll
go. Yeah. Have you tried Llama 3 since we last chatted?
I did quite a bit through. I figured out as soon as I made a chat on my phone, it then showed up on the desktop.
Interesting.
As a like it's one of the threads, right? It's a person then to talk to.
Showed up in the desktop of what?
Just like if you go to Instagram.com and then you click on messages.
Then you can continue that message thread.
Well, now I'm not seeing it, which is interesting. It made it so much. I mean, I'm not one to sit and make extensive conversations on my phone. So I ended up, I think I messaged you about it. I was working on some advertising for the Fusion course. And I was like, well, who better to help me than the AI of Meta to create like a plan for that? So I'm currently testing a 2/3 version of what it's suggested to do because it wanted me to do like 4 different campaigns. And I was like, that's a lot of setup. I don't have the creative content. Like I had to make like images and all that stuff for that many people or that many campaigns. And so it's going. It hasn't generated any sales at the moment. So yeah. How about you?
I'm interested in your campaigns first. How many fingers in the pie?
As in money?
No, like how many like multi-threaded like how
made so 3 different campaigns.
3, yeah.
It suggested to do 4 and I kind of had this experience before in some knowledge. Like I almost always do 2. Like you have like what sometimes is called prospecting or like this, they were calling awareness. So it's like, it's just trying to find people that might be interested in what you're selling. So it goes and looks out for like a huge list of people, tries to get them to look either at your website or something. And you kind of expect none of those people are really going to buy anything. So it's usually cheaper, like a volume thing. And then it had me create 2 or 3 others. And I went back and forth a lot with it on like ratios and budgets and versus like what our profit is on the thing, on what it's selling, the class.
Yeah.
So there's, they called it consideration, which honestly is a bad name. And then like gave me advice for what's in that, right? What are you advertising? What's the creative content? What's the copy? Like, what are you trying to get them to do? Because there's like different result intentions. Like, do you just want them to click? Do you want them to view it? Do you like the image? Do you want them to buy? And so there's kind of a range of conversion, prospecting, and I don't really know what consideration is. I've made some notes on it, but does that make any sense?
Yeah. It's cool. We're interested to see how it goes.
That's funny. I was excited about it because
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It humors me, like asking Meta AI for advice on running Meta advertising campaigns. Something about that is quite entertaining.
Same. And
yeah, it'd be super interesting to see how it goes.
I didn't at first think that it would work. I was just kind of, was hoping that it would even work. It is seemingly faster than even like, maybe not 3.5 GPT, but it feels like it does forget stuff similarly to GPT-4. Like things you ask, it'll kind of like forget and you have to keep reminding it. But man, it really gave me quite a bunch of good stuff. And like, I guess my biggest gripe at the moment is it's just one big thread as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
so it
doesn't seem to be multi-threaded
on things. So
I haven't done much more than I had last week in the Instagram chat, but it's good that you can keep that thread as a DM that you can then use on the desktop, which is handy because I wasn't sure if that was going to work. But I downloaded an offline version of Llama 3 a couple of nights ago through the GPT for All app, so I'm running a Llama 3 instruct model on my MacBook completely privately offline, and it is amazingly quick. It's because I've had GPT for All for a while, and occasionally I log in and I download the latest open source model. I'm like, yeah, how's it going in open source world?
Really?
Can I cancel my GPT subscription yet? It's like, no, it's getting there. But anyway, this was the first one where I was like, oh, wow, look at you go.
Interesting.
Like it was responding faster than GPT-4. It's just running on local hardware, which blows my mind. It was very conversational. You know, it's how do you test these things, like, really? But I gave it a test of trying to create some Python scripts for Rhino, as I'm often doing in ChatGPT. And anecdotally, it didn't do an amazing job. Like, you can get like a single shot prompt in ChatGPT to work and produce working code, whereas this took a lot more like feeding back error codes before it got somewhere. But as a sort of, a general purpose text-based offline model, amazing. Yeah, really impressed.
I kind of always I've downloaded some of those, you've shared some of those, and I ended up like just sticking with the online versions because I feel like I'm often trying to get it to do things that I want to be from contemporary sources, I guess. Like, I don't know. I guess I just think of it as like the better version for now.
Totally, it is. Yeah, for sure.
I just end up not dumping anything too sensitive into it that I wouldn't want them to have or know. So I don't know. Yeah. But I do. Did you say that everybody has access to 4 recently? GPT-4? Is that what you said?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought you said the other day that everybody has access to GPT-4.
No, don't think so.
Okay. I heard 5's coming?
Yeah, it's rumored. Soon. We shall see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So far, it's like you said, it's like hard to kind of know in the end. I guess it's nice to have options because obviously, like, I didn't know whether Llama 3 from Meta was going to be like helpful with its own products, but it did feel like it knew it pretty well. What kind of made me distrust it, similar to all the rest, is I said, here's an exact example. This conversion rate seems really high. Do you have statistics to back that up for this kind of product? And then it gave me conversion rates for online courses vary based on factors like price. And it gave me percentages. And then it said, see more on Bing. And I was like, what?
Bing?
What
are you doing?
So then my next question was, doesn't Meta have data for this kind of thing instead of Bing? And then it gave me another answer. Right. Gave me another answer that said, see more on Bing. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I just don't trust you in that way. You know, like, but it seemed incredibly fast. It's not like telling me how it's thinking about calculations, which I cannot get GPT-4 to stop doing. I don't know if I'm going to do this kind of math. And I'm like, I don't give it. Just give me the answer.
Yeah, my current test of models, just entertainment alone, is calculating the escape velocity of a beer coaster, which you get very different answers on Meta AI in the Instagram chat than you do on Llama 3 offline, but they're both being very thorough about calculating it, but I have no way of verifying the maths, so
yeah,
it's a bit of a moot point. Oh, man.
I'm not sleeping super well.
You haven't?
We alternate this situation, switch rooms into the baby's room when my mother-in-law comes to help us for a couple days a week. And so I don't sleep super well in the same room as the baby. And I've also just been like staying up too late, like looking at rat beef videos and some learning educational stuff that's been interesting to me, but a lot of it's just like I'm just like locked into doing stupid stuff on the internet too late, so I'm a little slow.
I've been in the sort of blur of like too many days of trying to wear too many hats, having way too many things on my to-do list, and getting to the end of the day and feeling like really ineffective about how much I got done. And for when I become self-aware of it during the day, I've just been flipping between browser tabs. Like, that's all I've done today is just flip between different tabs and tasks and like, oh, I have to pay that bill. Oh, I should put that bill in zero. It's like, slapping myself over the wrist. Like I know I need to get back to some solid time blocking, but I'm failing to get back there, and I'm not sure what that's about. I think it's partly the shiny carrot of customer service. Like as soon as a notification comes in on like Shopify chat or a text from a customer or something, a phone call, I jump on it.
Yep.
And I need to find a way of managing that better so I can actually get some focused work done.
Same.
That's not on the couch at 10 o'clock, because that's at the moment, that's where my focus time is happening, which is terrible.
I legitimately, it's funny, I didn't think of it in that same way, but I literally had this thought in the shower of, I kind of got excited about the idea that I could just write on my calendar that I was going to work for 2 hours on something. And I was like, oh my God, what? I immediately realized how ridiculous it was that I could schedule my own time. And I was like, God, like what? How have I just been working, for too long with like firefighting? It's, what's the hottest thing I can work on right now? Which, usually feels like I feel like I get a lot done, but it's still, at the end of the day, I look at my checklist, I'm like, well, that wasn't what I needed to do.
Same. Yeah. Yeah. Need to sort that out. Time blocking, maybe, somehow. Turning off notifications.
Can you hear my possessed printer at the moment?
Oh, barely. What's wrong with it?
Sometimes it just needs to stretch itself or something. It just sits there. Nobody's printing anything, and it just goes, hey, I gotta wake up, make some noises, turn back off.
That. Little stretch.
Use me.
Use me, please. So, yes, Instagram is continuing to pop off, funnily enough, despite me dropping my phone in the toilet and being offline for being locked out of all my two-factor authentication and key apps for a few days there. And then I finally got back in. I was like, oh, wonderful. Up to like 650,000 monthly views and a few more thousand followers. And it's like, thank you. Cha-ching.
That's so wild. Yeah, I've gone back and looked at your account a couple times just out of curiosity. I'm like, oh my God, still going.
Every time I open the app, there's another 100 people there. It's bizarre.
I know, you're over 30,000 now.
But starting
31,000.
Definitely some international growth there. And like I read some comments yesterday about like how absurd our pricing is, and like I've got some juicy comments to respond to today if I have a chance. Do some like little real Q&A responses, which will be fun.
Yeah. There's we get that comment. We get it less now, but I told you I get that especially on Dust Boot advertising. It's like always the people that aren't the customer.
Yeah,
they're probably never going to give you the customer, but
that's right.
I get this comment like, "Oh, I 3D printed one of my own. It cost me $7," and it's like, we'll see how long that works for you. Or like it's just the people that see the value don't have a problem with price, and it's not like either of us are like probably working for the 1% by any means.
Yeah, and good on you if you printed your own. That's fine, but like,
to bitch about it
as long as it's not a copy. But like,
which has happened.
Be resourceful or don't. Like in my case, I'm happy to buy one because I see the value, and we need to buy another one because we blew one up with a. Yeah,
I saw that. I was like, oh no, what did we do?
We can't. We're not actually sure what happened, but it exploded, and then the machine crashed in all these weird ways, and something was off. Like Johnny was saying, after that crash, they checked the machine limits and they were off. Like the machine had turned its own machine limits off somehow. Don't know what happened. Bit spooky. But yeah, it's like, absolutely see the value in. I'm not going to try and problem solve that myself, I'll buy one from you. Thank you. But it is funny, that sort of price. It's not price sensitivity, because I don't think they're ever going to be customers. It's just that I'm going to put an opinion out into the world that I think this is outrageously expensive, and I need to tell people about it.
I mean, I can't say I haven't had that feeling too, but I think I'm probably way more aware of that to not make that comment because of what I do.
Yeah.
Which, most people aren't. Most people are just consumers of things.
True.
So I get it. It's the same kind of, it's a lesser version of the racist, bigoted commentator out there that just doesn't care at all. They're just, they'll say the terrible thing regardless. So, yeah. No, I think, answering it is worthwhile. I can't imagine it's worth multiple videos, but
yeah, I'll have a crack at it. I don't have a clear sense of what I'll say, but I have some ideas of how I might respond to that.
I mean, in a certain way, I almost said this the other day. It's like on the weekend. I didn't want to to come across weird in text form, but I was thinking honestly, if roles were reversed, I think I would probably want you to say that all you should be focusing on is keeping that shit going. That Instagram thing is it's a very easy way for you to get customers potentially, even if it's in 2 years, right? And that it's just graced you. It's keep making it happy, keep giving it content,
keep feeding it. Yeah, I really need to.
Even if it's just, whatever you're doing, I'm not going to try to give you advice on making content because
do it.
You're doing the right thing. And I'm getting 200 views a video. So whatever I'm doing is not the thing that it wants at the moment.
So weird.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's cool. I feel like every week I want to know, have you had any more configurator purchases?
No, I don't think we have this week. Just a regular product off the shelf. No.
So we have a long standing issue with engraving things, not in CNC form, but with lasers.
Oh.
And it's largely an external issue. I mean, it was tricky for us to get engraving right on our fairly cheap laser. We have CO2, but in particular, it took us, it's no secret. We clearly stated on our website, but we sell ISO 30 tool holders, and we get those from China, from a Chinese supplier. Most of them that aren't higher end, especially in this market of router tool holders, are made in China or Taiwan, even if they're priced like they aren't. And working with well over 15 different companies, we finally narrowed it down to a couple that seemed like they were better, but we're still having insane problems just trying to get proper engravings made.
Really?
And that's also carried forward to people in the States that we work with. And I am just kind of at my wit's end of I've tried every way I could possibly think, whether it being providing good vector files in many different formats. I've tried to find the actual format they want it to be in for their software. That's being a little bit trickier, but I just I don't know what to do. I feel like at that point I've gotten to where it's am I just the problem? Am I the problem that's causing other companies, do they have this problem? And I've asked some friends and order stuff from overseas and they don't have this problem. So I'm I don't know what it's not complicated stuff to me.
Is this
what I think most?
Fiber metal engraving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a good one in front of me. We got a couple good samples, but then when we got a run of them, they were all different. Not what we had provided.
Yeah. Weird.
And other things too, but I don't know. I don't even know I brought it up, but it's just I don't have it's just been it's literally been like almost 2 years of trying to source stuff, and the engravings are by far the biggest problem.
Wow.
Like,
who'd have thunk it?
That's what I don't understand either, because it's just like, it's such simple stuff. It's not like it's bad quality engraving. It's just the wrong thing usually. It's not. It's scaled. It's attempted in different fonts and guesses of what it should be. Just looks bad.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man. I don't know. So if you have any good advice, I'd love your advice on how to do this better.
No, I don't know much about it. I've always kind of looked at those cool little mirror high-speed engraving machines and thought, that'd be rad. I want one. But then found out they don't work on timber. I was like,
right.
Less useful. But no, I don't know anything about it.
I mean, that is the answer. The easiest answer is buy your own laser. But what kills me about it is the labor cost for us to do it, to unpackage a product and to engrave it with a $5,000 cheap fiber laser. It's just like madness compared to it being done where it's supposed to be done for no additional cost.
Yeah. Maybe that's the problem. Yeah. No additional cost. Low value.
That's what I said today when Ricky and I were talking about it. I said it out loud. I was like, because it's free. And I was like, oh, because it's free. You know, like that part of it is just included.
Yeah. No incentive. Yeah.
That's my big headache lately, or for a long time, actually.
So we got episode 100 coming up in a few weeks. Most excitingly.
Right, 2 weeks.
I'll probably be having a baby at the same time. No, not quite, but it's going to be close. That might be the surprise at the end of the episode.
Live on location, episode 100 in the delivery room.
From the supply closet.
Oh, God. In the car.
But yeah, we'll see. Should just make some plans. Start cutting the confetti.
Right. I don't know what that would... Don't have any great ideas at the moment.
Maybe some people can chip in with great ideas.
Yeah.
What they'd like to see for episode 100.
Final episode.
Goodbye. Well, my coffee is cold. I need more.
I need coffee in general.
Wah, 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 wah.
I like it. You'll notice I've spared you all from buttons today. I've been overdoing it on the buttons the last few weeks.
You get some complaints?
Cold turkey. No. Come in.
Yeah.
Shall we go off to our disparate to-do lists?
Yeah, my focus mode just turned off, so that means we're done.
Nice. Boom.
What?
What?